Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Meanahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey peeps, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Pathogenesis and is from We Buy Games. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. There will be a link up in the top corner of your screen as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those links will take you to the page. You don't have to take my word for it. You can find out more information and hopefully consider backing the project. Now, Pathogenesis game is a deck building game, but it's one with a very unique theme. You and the other players are actually taking control of hosts of pathogens that are attacking different parts of a host body. So you've got the respiratory system, the gastrointestinal system, and the tissue as well, and you're trying to get your little pathogens to go in there and just wreak havoc. But of course, that's easier said than done. You have to deal with the body's immune system as well, and ultimately what you're trying to do, depending on the different game mode, and there's many different game modes here, you're trying to destroy the different parts of the body. And be the best at it, by the way. So let me go ahead and give you a brief look at how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. So just keep that in mind. What you see here may change in the final version. You can find out more information on the Kickstarter page. Then we're going to come back. We'll discuss it some more.
Pathogenesis is a deck-building game for 1 to 4 players. There are several different game modes, including solo, team, and 2-player cooperative, but we're going to focus on multiplayer competitive for this overview. Each player is a host of pathogens that are attempting to destroy different locations of the body. The standard game can end in one of 2 ways. First, the game itself can win and all of the players can lose if all of the immunity cards run out, representing the body finally beating back the pathogens. However, if one or more body locations are destroyed by the players, depending on the number of players and the set difficulty, the game will end with victory for whichever player dealt the most damage to the body throughout the game. For setup, the 3 target parts of the body tissue, respiratory system, and gastrointestinal system, each have a mat on which you place a certain number of damage markers and a shuffled up pile of barrier cards, with one flipped up on top. To actually attack the body location, you'll need to get through these barriers, which have a defense rating and a special bonus for the player that defeats it. When the barriers are down and the body is being attacked, the body's immune system will kick in. There are 2 decks of immunity cards, and only a certain number of random cards from each deck will be used depending on the game mode. Immunity cards have their own attack ratings that they use to destroy pathogens, and other special effects. They might also place special markers on your pathogens, which will trigger nasty effects from other immunity cards, or fever cards, which are useless cards that clog up your deck. The first deck will be shuffled and placed face down, while the second will be placed face up as the start of a discard pile, which the first deck cards will go into when they're used. When the first deck runs out, all of the cards in the discard pile, including the 2 cards, are shuffled together and then the deck is used again. If that runs out, it's game over for the players. Every player will get the same starting deck, which includes weak starting pathogens and new DNA cards, and you will shuffle this up and draw 5. Pathogens have attack and defense ratings, and if discarded without putting them into play, will also provide you with gene points, which are the currency of the game that lets you purchase more cards. Otherwise, they will stay in play to attack the body. Pathogens have special connection points along the sides of the cards that let you connect special trait and toxin cards, but only if those connectors match, or if they're universal, like your starting cards or the most powerful pathogen that you can purchase. New DNA cards can be used as currency, and you may use them to trash a card from the active gene pool, or you may trash the DNA card itself to use a powerful special ability on it. Speaking of the gene pool, you'll shuffle the deck and lay out 5 cards, and you'll always make sure that there are 5 out. These can include environment cards, which give you special powers and benefits when played, toxins, which increase the attack powers of pathogens they're attached to, and trait cards, which not only give an attack and defense boost to the pathogen they attach to, they also have special abilities that benefit the player. Aside from these random cards, you always have the option of buying powerful pathogens so long as they are available. These are far more powerful than what you start with, however, most of them can only specifically attack one of the 3 parts of the body, depending on their color, with the exception of the purple super pathogens. Gameplay happens in turns, with the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th players getting bonus gene tokens to make up for going later in the first round. There are several phases in a player's turn, but not all phases occur at first, until the body starts attacking back. The first thing you do on your turn is play cards from your hand, using their special abilities or using their gene points to purchase cards from the gene pool. You can also play pathogens to build up your forces or augment the ones you already have in play with traits and toxins. Note that it is also possible to upgrade the pathogens that you already have in play. Normally, when a card is purchased, it goes into your discard pile to be played later. But if the pathogen you want to purchase specifically is one step above a pathogen you already have in play, you can replace the inferior one immediately, keeping its add-on cards attached to it. Next, your pathogen cards will attack, which is not optional. Choose which part of the body your universal pathogens will attack, while the body part specific pathogens will automatically go after their applicable target. In the beginning of the game, you must rip through the barrier cards first, but once those are gone later, you can start removing damage tokens equal to the damage dealt, keeping them for endgame scoring. After that, discard all used cards except the pathogens and their linked cards which are in play and which were not destroyed. You can also keep cards in hand that you did not play or optionally discard them. Then you draw back up to 5 from your deck. If you ever run out of cards, reshuffle your discard pile and keep drawing. If at least one of the body locations loses all of its barriers, the next turn will add additional phases, including a preemptive attack from the immune system, which can be avoided with certain card abilities, allowing you to attack first. But if that doesn't happen, you'll draw a card from the immune deck and suffer the consequences before you get to attack with your pathogens. When the final form of the immunity deck runs out, all the players lose. But if any of the body locations die, then all players will count up all of the damage tokens that they've collected, regardless of the location, and whoever has the most is the winner.
Well, when I talk about unique themes in games, this is basically what I had in mind, which is not to say that the idea of rampant viruses destroying humanity is a unique theme necessarily. Of course, you have a game in mind when I mention that, but coming at it from this perspective, the pathogens perspective, along with the fact that it's a deck-building game, and I haven't seen that theme married to these mechanisms before, at least that I know of, definitely just puts a whole unique spin and perspective on it that is all Pathogenesis' own, which is hard to say, Pathogenesis'. And so you have, and it's not just the fact that it's deck-building game with this theme reskinned onto it. There's a lot of really unique aspects going on here, which as a fan of deck-building games is something that I'm always on the lookout for. Don't just give me a game that's a Dominion clone or an Ascension clone or DC Comics deck-building game clone. Give me something unique. Come at it from a different perspective. And I think that at We Buy Games, they not only made a good attempt, but actually really carefully crafted the theme together with the mechanisms to have it make sense. Like, okay, not only is it here's pathogens you're attacking, but you have the different parts of the body. You have to go through their defenses because the body has all kinds of defenses that are just innate, the barriers in this case. But then, once you get through it, the body's like, oh, okay, well, we can't have this. And the body starts to attack back. And that's the immune system, the white blood cells, and all these different things. And it just really jack up your pathogens. And so by the time that happens, hopefully you have built up enough defenses, enough strong augmentations and toxins and things for your pathogens, which is where the deck building part comes in. While you're plugging away at all these different barriers to try and get the bonuses from them, you're slowly building up your deck to make it as powerful as possible before those immune systems kick in and start attacking all the players back. And that's where there are traditional deck building elements. You're drawing the 5 cards, you're buying cards from a randomized lineup, and but then there's the different pathogens. Different pathogens can only attack. Of the advanced pathogens can only attack certain body locations, and then you can augment them as well, and you can even upgrade them. So even within that system, which seems like this is core deck building type of stuff, there's unique aspects to it. But then the aspect of the immunity deck, which is even more interesting because it's sort of it's not only the body fighting back thematically and mechanically, it's also a bit of a timer on the game, and a very interesting one at that. Because you go through all the fairly weak immune systems, and they build up stronger and stronger, and now you got to go through all of those. And if that runs out, everybody loses because the body just eventually finds a way to flush out the pathogens or builds up so much immunity to it that there's no way that you can grab a foothold. So you have to rip through the body's defenses before that happens and take out at least, depending on the game mode, one of those body locations, and then everyone adds up all their different points, which gives it a really interesting aspect because everyone's suffering equally from the immunities, but ultimately only one player is going to win unless you're playing in the two-player cooperative mode, which is another interesting aspect of the game because you have all these different ways to play. You have the team mode, the cooperative mode, the solo mode, and then you also have different difficulty levels, like how brutal do you want the game to be, even in a standard multiplayer game, like how tough do you want the immunity deck to be, and these types of things. These are all things that you have to set up ahead of time, but it makes the game more variable from game to game. So when you add that together with the theme, with the core deck building rules that are fleshed out into something new, I think there's a lot of people who are really going to enjoy this game because of how it just feels like something fresh and new. If you like deck building, if you like the theme, which is, while it may seem fantastical to take control of pathogens, it's still very much based in real-world logic, how the theme is applied to the mechanisms and building up these different pathogens. So if you like that, if you like deck building, if you just like a challenge and also like having a variability of different game modes, then this might be your jam. But like I said in the beginning, you don't have to take my word for it. The Kickstarter project is going on right now, the Kickstarter campaign, I should say. So you can follow the link in the top corner of your screen as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Go there, find out oodles of information, make up your mind, but hopefully you'll consider backing Pathogenesis from We Buy Games. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting our sponsors. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.